Napredno modelarstvo je staro 60 let. Začelo se je z prostletečimi modeli, z vrvico, ki jo vleka vitla, ali pa jo fant vleko s pomočjo škripca. Potem so se pojavili sporedno propelerji oziroma motorji na gumi motor. Navita guma v trupo, ki je vrtela propeler in je to šlo lepo zrak. Sam je moral biti model zelo lahek. Modelar je hotel, da bi mu njegov model po pobočju letel naravnost. In so se spomnili na kompas, ki je bil vgrajen v središču modela, in ta igla je pri manevru se dotaknila elektromagneta in je sprožila krmilo. In ta model seveda je cik-cak letel, ampak v dobri smeri. Tam leta 55-56 pa so začele te firme, ki se bavijo z elektroniko, poskusati narediti daljinsko upravljanje, ampak seveda je bilo omejeno samo za takimi eksaktnimi levo ali pa desna pozicija. Čez leta so pa pol le spravili vdajnik, ki je pa lahko komande spremenil v proporcionalni sistem, se pravi, če ste premaknil malo, krmilo je tudi, oziroma ročico je krmilo tudi po tistem ubogalo. Potem so začeli pa razvijati te male motorje na metanol, pa ricinus olje, in potem so se pa pojavili manjši bencinski motorji, ki rabijo navadno mešanico kot recimo kosilnica. Najnovejši pa so pred leti pa turbinski motorji, to se pravi isti kot pa pripravimo avionu. Od začetka je, zdaj 50 let, je bil pergament papir za preobleko, letvice, pa furniri, pa recimo mahagoni, vezana plošča, ki je bila v embalaži kitajskih čajev, v takih lepih škatlah, in tisto škatlo so mi trgovin pol dobili in tam so ratali rebrca ven. To je bil najboljši takrat mahagoni šper, da je bo 3 mm. In pa balj za les.
Danes se pretežno uporabljajo kompozitni materiali, to so kombinacija steklo epoksi, kevlar epoksi ali karbon epoksi.
Radijsko vodena letala in helikopterji, ki so jih v preteklosti kot svoj konjiček razvijali in uporabljali predvsem ljubiteljski modelarji, postajajo v današnjih modernih vojskah orodje za nadzor, izvidovanje in obveščanje. Iz ljubiteljske dejavnosti se je torej razvila nova veja letalstva.
UAV means unmanned air vehicle. That means that are aircraft without any pilot.
In the 70s, in the Israeli army, they started to fly the old versions of the UAVs, which were pretty unreliable at the time, and they were lost every few flights. But since then, we've come a long way. And as you can see here, there's a lot of optimized and advanced UAVs today.
Brezpilotna plovila lahko razvrstimo na več načinov. Nekateri jih delijo po velikosti, drugi po trajanju in višini leta, tretji po opremi in sistemi, ki jih nosijo, po namenu uporabe ali po kakih drugih merilih. Na splošno gledano pa brezpilotna plovila delimo na strateška, ki delujejo na velikih višinah in lahko ostanejo v zraku več kot 24 ur, namenjena pa so predvsem nadzoru in izvidovanju. Taktična, ki delujejo na majhnih višinah in ostanejo v zraku do 12 ur, ter so namenjena izvidovanju in obveščanju. Mini oziroma mikro, ki imajo zelo omejen čas letenja in so namenjena opazovanju bližnje okolice, ter bojna, ki bodo nosila oborožitev, ko bodo prišla v operativno uporabo.
UAV has been designed in order to avoid to have pilot kills during war or crisis time, and also because the permanence of Eagle is 30 hours, And I will give you an example. If you send Eagle at 1,000 kilometers, it can stay above the area during 12 hours. And it is impossible to do it with a fighter aircraft. And another advantage is that it gives in real time the pictures. The pictures are sent to the control center, and all the decision makers can see in real time what happens in the zone area, and they can take very short-term decisions.
Prednosti, ki jih prinašajo brezpilotna plovila, narekujejo njihovo uporabo tudi v Slovenski vojski.
V Slovenski vojski trenutno uporabljamo brezpilotna letala za potrebe imitacije ciljev v zračnem prostoru, za potrebe zračne obrambe, in delovanje teh brezpilotnih letal je nekajkrat cenejše od delovanja z uporabo klasičnih letal.
V Sloveniji sledi hitremu tehnološkemu razvoju tega področja Aviotech. Njegova RVML-1 in 2 spadata med mini brezpilotna letala, ki jo Slovenska vojska uporablja kot leteče tarče.
Leteči tarči RVML-01 in 02 sta namenjeni usposabljanju enot zračne obrambe s topovskim in raketnim orožjem, kot tudi pehotnih enot v zračni obrambi. Leteča tarča RVM-01, ki jo poganja motor 3,9 kW, s tem motorjem dosega hitrosti do 180 km/h, razpon kril je 2,20 m in ima maso 8 kg. RVM-02 pa poganja motor 7,3 kW, s tem motorjem dosega hitrosti do 250 km/h, razpon kril je 2,5 m, masa pa 13 kg. Leteča tarča RVM-02 je opremljena tudi z infrardečimi vabami in dimom, ki nam omogoča vidljivost na večjih razdaljah. Poleta s katapultne naprave, to pravi, da pomeni, da ne uporablja nobenih poletnih stez. Pristaja pa enostavno na trup ali opcija s padalom. Z tarčama RVM-01 in 02 upravljata dva, operater pilot in pa pomočnik mehanik, katerih usposabljanje traja približno 30 dni. Sam sistem RVM-02 je popolnoma primerljiv kakovostno z sorodnimi sistemi v svetu, ob tem pa treba poudariti, da je znatno cenejši.
Naloge pilotov prevzemajo v brezpilotnih plovilih operaterji v nadzornih centrih. Podatke, ki jih centrom posredujejo brezpilotna plovila, pa analizirajo strokovnjaki.
The lunar system, which is the bigger one, you need two people in the ground control station. One is the mission controller and the other is the image evaluator. And you need two people at the launch and recovery site. So Luna is launched on a catapult, on a bungee type catapult, and is recovered by a parachute. And Aladdin, it can be operated by one man. You have to have another one who is launching the aircraft, but it will be operated and can be carried by one man.
Opremljeni sta s kamerami in različnimi senzorji. Nemška vojska ju uspešno uporablja v Afganistanu, Makedoniji in na Kosovu.
What we show here is the inside of the Sperver ground control station. Three operators are working here during the flight, before, during and after the flight. Before the flight to prepare the air vehicle, to prepare the mission. And the mission is fully digital. It uses a flight plan composed of waypoints that the UAV can follow automatically. And during the flight, you have the payload operator who is in charge of only of looking at the image, and he can see either in the infrared spectrum or in the TV spectrum, because the UAV has two cameras on board. It can zoom or de-zoom on the image. The second operator over there is dedicated to the air vehicle monitoring. In fact, it is a sort of pilot, but it is a pilot with hands off, which means that he has only to observe this information here, which gives the data and the status of the sensors in the DR vehicle. So, for instance, he has an horizon, just like in any aircraft. He has information on the position of the DR vehicle. He has got information on all the subsystems of the aircraft. For instance, here he can look at the data from the engine, and he has nothing to do because the flight is automatic. The only thing he has to do is to take decisions when a failure occurs. But the flight can be fully automatic, and we have only to concentrate on image in order to find the information needed. And we have also the possibility to monitor and to operate two air vehicles, both in flight. And only one pilot, this operator, can observe the data coming from two air vehicles. And it's just like if you wanted to fly simultaneously two air vehicles. Of course, it's impossible for manned aircraft. For non-manned aircraft, it is possible. And during the flight, we can also modify the mission. This is the position of what we call the mission commander. The mission commander has the ability to look at image, to look at the air vehicle status, but also to change the flight plan. So, for instance, if he wants to come back to an area of interest, he can decide to modify the plan. He does that quite in this post. Then we upload a new flight plan to the aircraft, and the aircraft change his flight plan and for instance, come back to an object of interest. So it is something very automatic because we want to design something which is monitored and operated by people who are not pilots.
Leteča tarča RVM-01 je vodena preko radijske postaje in sicer na področju frekvenc VHF. Sedaj pa smo pri novejših tarčah RVM-02 uporabili UHF področje.
Od teh plovil se zahteva tudi letenje po vnaprej določeni smeri, kar omogočata avtopilot in satelitska navigacija.
Osnovni namen avtopilota je, da leteča tarča ali brezpilotno letalo leti po željeni zadani smeri. Vkolikor pa povežemo avtopilot tudi satelitsko navigacijo, pa nam je omogočeno, da leteča tarča ali brezpilotno letalo leti po predhodno določenih točkah in se celo vrne v izhodiščno točko.
Strateška brezpilotna plovila, kot je na primer Eagle, ki letijo na misije zunaj vidnega dosega zemeljske postaje, pa za komunikacijo in prenos podatkov uporabljajo sodobnejše komunikacijske poti.
It is a satellite communication, so the information are sent from the satellite, from the ground control station to the UAV. And for that reason, we can make some very strategic missions of intelligence, surveillance and intelligence for all the armed forces.
V nekaterih primerih pa imajo sodobne komunikacijske poti še druge možnosti, ki razširjajo in odpirajo še dodatno uporabo brezpilotnih letal.
They can communicate, and one air vehicle can relay images taken from another air vehicle, and this is very efficient when you have mountains, because when you have mountains, one air vehicle is not seen by the ground control station, and his data, telemetry data and image are relayed by the second air vehicle.
Prvotni namen brezpilotnih plovil je torej nadzor, izvidovanje in obveščanje, zaradi česar so opremljena z različno opremo in merilnimi instrumenti. Osnovna oprema pa je v večini brezpilotnih plovil enaka.
They are carrying electro-optical sensors, which are daylight video cameras that bring live video and infrared cameras for the night recognition.
Strateška in taktična brezpilotna plovila imajo lahko tudi dodatno opremo, s katero pokrivajo večje področje.
So you will have a synthetic aperture radar, a ground mapping radar. You'll have the daylight television and the nighttime television. You also have what we call a laser designator. The laser designator is used so that you can very precisely position what the Fire Scout is looking at, transmit that information back to the ground control station so you know exactly where on the Earth the target is.
Ameriški proizvajalec Northrop Grumman je za ameriško vojsko in civilne oblasti razvil dva različna sistema brezpilotnih plovil.
The Global Hawk is capable of flying at very high altitude, 65,000 feet, surveilling, that is, mapping large areas of the Earth during one flight. It can stay in the air for more than 30 hours. The Fire Scout, on the other hand, is a low altitude. It stays very low, close to the ground, and can look very closely at targets. And Global Hawk would be looking at them from a great distance away. Fire Scout then allows the Marine Corps or the Navy or whomever purchases the system to be able to look at targets very closely and positively identify any of the targets. We have used it very successfully in the recent conflict called Operation Iraqi Freedom, and we also used Global Hawk in Enduring Freedom, which was the operations in Afghanistan.
V takih razmerah je zelo pomembno, da je plovilo ustrezno konstruirano in združljivo z drugimi sistemi kontrole letenja.
Eagle has been designed at the origin to be very safe in order for the Air Forces to use it not only in wartime, but also during crisis time and during peacekeeping operations. That means that all the critical parts of the avionics are redundant. And we have tried to reach the level of certificate of safety that all the normal aircraft, civilian aircraft, have. And another important issue is the integration into the civil airspace. So we have equipped Eagle with some equipment in order for Eagle to easily be integrated into the civilian airspace.
To pa pomeni, da lahko brezpilotna plovila uporabljamo tudi v civilne namene.
Last November in France, there were big floods and there were large areas in the south of France which were surrounded by water, by the Rhône river. So our UAV system was used to make pictures of houses which were completely surrounded by waters in order to observe the damage for animals, for houses. We also have used for forest fire detection, and we believe that a UAV system can be used for all kind of natural disaster.
A whole line of civil missions that can be accomplished with UAVs, starting with the communication relays and environmental testing, weather checking, and helping with all kind of police work, like traffic control and search and rescue, and in general, trying to prevent crimes before they even happen.
Uporaba letal in helikopterjev predstavlja velik strošek. Tudi zaradi tega jih danes nadomeščajo brezpilotna plovila.
To compare the price, you have to take into consideration the price of the aircraft itself, but also the price to use. And for example, you need a team to maintain the aircraft. And if you compare the maintenance, you need 4 times less for an UAV than for a normal aircraft. You don't need a pilot, you don't need training. So on the whole, if you take into consideration the price of the aircraft, which is itself less expensive than the normal aircraft, plus the number of people, which are very little compared to a normal aircraft, it's very interesting.
Med brezpilotnimi plovili so seveda tudi posebneži. Njihove posebnosti omogočajo opravljanje posebnih nalog in uporabo v posebnih pogojih. Med temi posebneži je tudi Eagle Eye.
It is, of course, based on technology which is similar to that of the V-22, but has been much simplified. For example, the V-22 uses a very high-pressure hydraulic system. There are no hydraulics at all on this air vehicle. It has dual redundant electrical actuators. It has dual navigation system, it has inertial nav and a GPS system. So it's a very, very precise aircraft in terms of positioning. This particular air vehicle has several unique features. First of all, it does have the capability to take off and land from the back of a small ship, a frigate, for example. Secondly, because it is an aircraft or an air vehicle that can transition into forward flight, it can transition to high-speed forward flight very quickly, and it does have dash speeds of up to 220 knots. Now, the payload that this air vehicle can carry is we built structure in the nose to accommodate up to 300 pounds, or about 135 kilos. But the aircraft operates autonomously. There's no pilot. It only requires an operator, and in fact can be operated by one individual. Most militaries, however, will choose to use two. They'll use an analyst and they'll use an operator. Now, for the United States Coast Guard, the Deepwater program specified the type of payloads that we put in this air vehicle. It has both a radar, which is a very capable radar that gives you a see and avoid capability. It also gives you a surface search capability, and it has a FLIR.
Uporaba brezpilotnih plovil je danes omejena na nebojne naloge.
This UAV is not at all to replace the pilot. It is a complementary tool for the armed forces. It is to do some boring reconnaissance missions. And it is also to make only reconnaissance. It is not to fight. It is to make missions of surveillance, reconnaissance, and intelligence. That means either dangerous missions for pilots and boring missions.
Trendi v modernih vojskah kažejo, da zaradi visokih operativnih stroškov delovanja klasičnega letalstva, zaradi visokih stroškov in časa usposabljanja pilotov ter zaradi same varnosti pilotov vse več nalog klasičnega letalstva prevzemajo brezpilotna letala. Skladno s tem tudi v Slovenski vojski poteka študija, na podlagi katere bo v srednjeročnem obdobju Slovenska vojska opremila svoje enote z brezpilotnimi letali. Poleg vojaških nalog, izvedovanja in nadzora iz zraka bomo s temi brezpilotnimi letali lahko sodelovali tudi v sistemu zaščite in reševanja pred naravnimi in drugimi nesrečami, tako v fazi ocene škode, kot tudi v fazi saniranja posledic.
Vse bolj pa se postavlja tudi vprašanje uporabe brezpilotnih plovil v bojne namene. Nekateri proizvajalci so v tej smeri že naredili konkretne korake, drugi pa o tem šele razmišljajo.
Pegasus is a part of the unmanned combat air vehicle development we are going through, what we call UCAV in the United States. Now, Pegasus was only a demonstrator. All we wanted to prove to the United States Navy was that the airplane can take off, come around and land in a very, very precise spot to convince the Navy that perhaps we can do this off an aircraft carrier one of these days. And that's exactly what Pegasus did. Now that Pegasus has demonstrated that its ability to be able to do that, we are moving into the development of a larger, more capable unmanned combat air vehicle.
We are studying this concept. I think that they will arrive after, because I think it is a long time now to be able to have a really UCAV. What we can do is also to have some armaments under this type of UAV. But to have really a new UCAV, like a fighter, I think it will arrive, but in perhaps 20 years.
Po ocenah analitikov naj bi bil skupni lovski bombnik JSF F-35, ki ga razvija Lockheed Martin, zadnje zahodno bojno letalo s posadko. V uporabo naj bi prišel leta 2008, uporabljali pa bi ga vsaj še naslednjih 25 let. Hkrati z njim bo v zraku tudi vse več brezpilotnih plovil. Poklic vojaškega pilota bojnih in izvidniških letal bo torej vse manj iskan.
Yes, beautiful. No problems at all.